Oh, hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 259, I'm very lucky to have a poet, and he didn't know it. No, that's channel.
That was pretty good. That was
Well,
pretty good.
what can I say? I'm working here. I'm working here.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like Darius.
There you go. There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
On the podcast today, I have got his name right. I did not bastardize it or mess it up. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. How about yourself?
I am smiling. The sun is shining. But this way, at this moment in time in the UK, we are slowly creeping towards temperatures in your part of the world of Atlanta. Yeah. Put it this way, tomorrow and on Tuesday, we should be in the region of 100, 105. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes.
Nah, I'm good on that one. I definitely prefer the wintertime. The heat is not.
The heat is not for you. Like
No.
my friend, why are you in Atlanta? Like there are like cooler places to be.
It's all for book purposes only. Trust me, I would rather be in somewhere like New York. I mean, it's cold. It's really cold over there. I'd rather be over there, honestly. That was my first choice. But I thought Atlanta would be probably a little better. I can connect a little better here.
I see. Right. So you're not originally Atlanta native. Is that
No? No, I'm originally from Mississippi. And it's hot over there too. It's hot over there too. So you think I would be used to it, but it's like I just don't like the heat. The reason I probably don't like the heat because of mosquitoes. Like I'm not a fan of those at all. So yeah, I'd rather it be springtime weather, cold. I'm okay with that.
Okay. So what made you go, hey, Mississippi? Thank you, Mississippi, but I have to get out of Dodge.
Get out of here.
Yeah, what was the sort of like epiphanal moment where you were like, yep, see ya?
Well, originally where I'm from is Jackson, Mississippi. There's not really much there. It's a lot of it's a very high crime rate. I mean, in different parts it's good places, but it's starting to get a little bad over there. It's just really not much to do if you have like goals and things of that nature. And so I just set out. Now I was like, you know what? I'm just, I want more for myself. I feel like as though I have some type of purpose or something like that. I just don't know what it is. So I felt like me being here, I'm never gonna find out what exactly that is. And so let me venture out. And I've had some cousins of mine, I call them my brothers, but some cousins of mine that he had dreams as well. And we was like, hey, why not Georgia? And we were like, hey, let's go to Georgia. And so there we are.
So it was just basically your local environment you grew up in just had like sort of limited like vision within.
Absolutely. It was a lot of gang related things around. It was just too much bad stuff to get into. And I feel like any good person could get corrupted into that as well. I don't just say I wouldn't be able to get into that. It was all around me. It was there. It was too easy to get into. So therefore it was like, okay, let me just venture out somewhere else because like I said, whatever this purpose is, I got to find out what it is. And also just, I enjoy life as well. And there was a lot of murders and things going on. Jackson's pretty hot. I love my city, but it's hot over there. So yeah, it was just time to go. It was just time to go. I knew I couldn't do what I really wanted to do there.
Yeah, no, because like this is the thing. I'm intrigued because look, it would be very easy to fall into that lifestyle all around you. How did you avoid like how the apples of temptation, which were around you at that time?
My grandmother kept me in church. That was one way to keep me away from all of that. And playing a lot of basketball. I'm kind of I'm a very introverted person.
Right.
Anyway, so I like to be to myself anyway. So going out really wasn't like a thing for me. But my brothers, I have brothers in Jackson, Mississippi. So we just stay playing basketball. Like I said, my grandmother kept me in church, and I was always distracted by something else. Even though we were surrounded by all of that, she still kept me like away from that because she knew what was around too. And so and to keep you out of the streets, I'm gonna keep you in church. So hey, it worked.
Like, yes, it's Tuesday night. Can I go out? No, church.
Honestly, exactly. That's what it was.
So, okay, right. So between not going to New York and like basically Atlanta, like all I've got to say is Atlanta, from what I've seen as an outsider from the United States, Atlanta seems to be this little hub. Well, when I say little hub, I mean it's growing on a sort of, it feels like on a month-to-month basis of like positive activity. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say has been one of the sort of largest surprises for you, like when you moved to Atlanta?
The largest surprise is just really honestly coming from where I come from is just so much to do. You really can't get bored in Georgia, honestly, because there's so many different parts that I haven't even seen yet. And I've been here, 3-4 years now, maybe longer. And so it's just, you really can never get bored. It's so much, so many different cities that I haven't even been to. It's always something going on. So yeah, you can go up the street and it'd be a party or a barbecue or something going on. It's like, it's always something. And me, I stay in a city called Athens, Georgia. And so if I drive 15 minutes, I'm in Atlanta. So I'm around the big city and all of that. So it's always something to do here.
Because like, wow, like it's one of those things where like, yeah, entrepreneurial spirit lives there. Like basically, like there is this newfound sort of realm of community. Maybe I'm wrong in saying newfound. It's most already been there for a very long time immemorial, but it's actually kind of really finding its feet. Like, yeah. So getting yourself sort of coming from Mississippi into that type of like environment, how long did it sort of like take you to sort of like this is a place where you still haven't seen everything or like done everything, sort of like get a little bit like settled where you came sort of not so much comfortable, but you know what I mean, getting involved in the mix?
I know what you mean. Like I said, I'm an introvert, but I'm also a people's person. So it's weird. Like connecting with different people, I never had a problem with that. Like I was always drifted towards the crowd, or the crowd comes to me. I would say that. So that part wasn't a challenge. The challenge was basically just really finding out where everything is, because like it's so big, you just don't know. And so I believe that was the hardest challenge. Connecting with the people, that wasn't hard at all because the Black culture is everywhere here. And so it wasn't hard to tap into what you already know. It's just, you just fit right in, you just go. So it really wasn't that much of a challenge at all, honestly.
Okay. So
I don't know.
Yeah. So when you moved there, was it a case of you were like, okay, hi, I'm a poet. Thank you.
No.
Or did you have to do something else while you got there?
So the poetry thing didn't come till later on. When I first moved to Georgia, I was trying to pursue a modeling career. People would always tell me, hey, LaDarius, you should be a model. You should do this. You should do that. And I finally listened. And so I thought, like, okay, let me just try it out and see. So that was the original plan to move to Georgia. I realized as I grew more into myself, that's not what I really wanted to do. Because I guess you can say I like looking nice in different type of clothing. But when it came to the part where I had to take pictures all of the time, me being an introvert, that didn't really work out. Like that didn't go hand in hand for me. And so, yeah.
Well, like, yeah, like, okay, you're an introvert here with an extrovert facade.
Exactly. It makes sense.
Okay, because like, yeah, model. No, don't get me wrong. You're a handsome fella. I'll give you that. But like, yeah, to like, you know what? You decided I want to be a model.
Absolutely. Yeah, it didn't work out because, like I said, it was just I'm a very people's person, but it's just the whole taking pictures all of the time. It was exhausting. And I was like, I'm gonna pass on this. I'm gonna find something else to do. And when it came to the poetry part just happened. It just happened organically. Like in high school, I had a teacher. Can't remember her name, but she told me that I had the gift of writing. I was too young. I didn't really care what she was talking about. Okay, that's nice. I moved on to something else. It was just, I was always into something else. So then it never stuck with me until, you start going through stuff in life where you can't really talk to certain people about because they don't understand. And so instead of having these conversations with different people, wasting my time, I just wrote it. And it was starting to become relatable. I started coming up with different rhyme schemes, and I just fell in love with it. So that's how the poetry thing came about.
You know what? Like when you said, yeah, when I was in school, like teenage energy. Like
exactly.
I love it and I hate it at the same time because because it's coupled with all of this potential where it can pretty much do anything and everything, but it's also coupled with this sort of like, how can I say, arrogance and stupidity, which just sometimes gets in the way of everything. It's like, you should do it this way. No.
I'm good.
No. I know you've written like loads of stuff and everything like this, but I know better. It's like
absolutely. It's definitely stupidity. It's definitely stupidity. She would tell me because she would just tell us to write this piece, write about love or something like that. And I would be so passionate about whatever the topic is that I would like pour my all into whatever it is I'm writing. And she would say, like, I see so much in this. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'll just move on. Like it was nothing for me. It was just like a assignment, a grade. All right, I'm done. Move on to something. Let's go play basketball. That was my thing.
Just see her just like it's like I wish this was communist Russia. I'll just make him sit down and write.
She probably would. If she could, she probably would have.
So rekindling this love of like writing poetry for yourself, what was like the sort of first piece you sort of like wrote down or you like found after this time?
So, all right, my first piece, I remember the title of it and everything. It was called Life Summary. And I was going through so much then. It was a very traumatic experience, everything that was happening to me at that time. It was just really trying to find out my identity, who I was as a person. My parents, I was into both parents a lot. I was going through a lot of broken friendships that I had. I was going through a lot of bad relationships with different women and things like that. And so it was very hard on me. And I'm not really realizing why or what's going on. I'm just having a bunch of emotions. And like I said, no one really understood what I was going through. So I was going through identity crisis. I was going through bad relationships, friendships, family issues. It was a lot. And so in that poem, Life Summary, it was just basically telling my story of what I was going through at the time. And it summarized everything. It summarized everything that I was going through. So that was my very first, I guess you can say my very serious piece that I really took serious, and I sat down and I just wrote. And it was very, very therapeutic for me. I still have that poem written down in my tablet. I still have like all my old work and things like that. And so, yeah, that was the very first one.
Yeah, I hear you. Like, because like this is a thing, like for someone to like go, okay, I'm in an environment and now I want to do X, Y, and Z in my life, but I need to relocate, go somewhere else because I don't see the potential in a particular area. That is a big step. And let's just say that type of move, I don't know why. I don't like, but it is just a way of life that some of the closest people to you will see this. Either they understand it, support you, very little.
Right.
They see you do it, they understand it, but it like highlights and reflects the things which is not right with them, and they hate you for it.
Yeah.
A lot more. Like people don't want you to do it because, hey, they got fear for where you want to go with regards to this, which is, you know what I mean? And yeah, just everyone else, just like, yeah, hating on the whole fact that you are trying to discover a little bit more about yourself, even though that journey of self-discovery would do them the world of good, but they're too scared to do it. So would you say you're like with one poem, you can't say, with that one poem, the clouds parted, the sun ray came down on me, and I discovered who I truly was, my authentic self. It's like I'm praise the Lord, hallelujah. But yeah. So how is your journey going of trying to find your authentic self at this present time then?
That's a great question. That is still, like you said, a work in progress. I finally got a therapist, and she's helping me get through that. Because it's a lot of emotion. Therapy is real. I feel like everyone, honestly, should have someone to talk to. So with she helps me out with so much. I thank God for her, because she's helping me break these. Because I talk about generational curses with her, and she's helping me.
Say that again, please.
My apologies. I'm talking to her. I'm speaking with her about generational curses, how to break those and things like that. And she just, honestly, she's helping me break those. And how she's helping me do that is by basically taking that type of pressure off myself, because some stuff is just out of my control. And so she's helping me realize that all I can really control is LaDarius. That's it. I can't control what nobody else does except myself. And so with that, that's still, of course, a lesson to be learned, but it's in progress. Like, I didn't know that was a thing, if I'm making sense. Like, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, I didn't know that I can really just focus on me. I think being selfish isn't a bad thing when you're doing the work on yourself, because you have all these other things that's going on around you. You're trying to focus on them, or you're trying to focus on their emotions when you're going through healing itself. So she's just helping me focus on doing the work myself, so I can better myself and my family and things like that.
Yeah, no, but this is the thing. Like, one of the things I would definitely agree with is, yeah, I think people do need to, like, well, not sort of seek out therapy, but having those real conversations which can help them to, like, with their sort of personal and self-development. And look, when people like, oh, self-development, oh, you're being selfish. No. Basically, if you're not working on yourself and making yourself stronger, or like basically wiser on a day-to-day basis, there is going to be stuff which is going to come up in life, because it always does, which will challenge you to the nth degree. And if you haven't done that work on oneself beforehand, that's when life will break you, you know?
Absolutely. It's definitely tough. And honestly, what one of the things that inspired my book as well is vulnerability. I was told at a young age that men really couldn't cry. I was told that we should just take it all in the chest and move forward. That's a lot. That's a lot. I feel like that takes a toll on the body and the mind. If you just hold everything in all the time. And that was me. I held all my emotions in. And I haven't yet to explode, but sometimes I feel like I wanted to just, blow up. And, vulnerability isn't a sign of weakness, it's actually a sign of strength. I've learned that as well as I've, through my journey with poetry and writing and things like that, I realized that it really isn't weakness at all. It's just, when people tell you that, when other men tell you that, they probably need to cry a little bit. Well, not even just necessarily cry, just, like you said, have those real conversations with themselves, or say, like, it's okay to say, hey, that hurt my feelings, or my feelings got hurt with that. You're not weak to say that, you know what I'm saying? Your feelings got hurt. People don't really realize that, after anger is sadness. Anger is an emotion. Sadness is an emotion. So you're not, that doesn't make you less tough because something hurt your feelings. That's not what that is. It's just, I think vulnerability is looked at wrong, especially in the male community. It's not talked about enough.
Yeah, like I would say it's not talked about enough, but like the whole thing is when people talk about learning about themselves and like truly getting to like, you often hear people go, yeah, authenticity. I want to be authentic. And it's a case of, right, if you haven't explored most of what your psyche is,
Mm-hmm.
how can you truly be authentic?
Exactly.
And without those sort of conversations, like it might be with like close friends, with a therapist, or it might just be like, yeah, just having that conversation, look in the mirror on a day-to-day basis. I don't know, but you don't know. You won't be truly authentic about who you are and what you can do in this life, you know?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Mm,
100%.
yeah. So when like being vulnerable, like, and like this is one of these things where it's a very hard thing to sort of drop it into natural conversation where like with your boys and your like, you know what I mean, some of your close male friends. How have you found have you been able to talk to like any of the guys about this, because it may come up a little bit more because of what you do?
Yeah. That's the thing. You realize in your journey who really is your friend, who really isn't.
Mhm.
But I've been blessed to say that I have 3 guys that I'm really connected with, but one in particular because he understands, he gets it. He goes through things and we talk about things all the time. Him and I pretty much went through the same stuff in life.
Mhm.
It's a very friend of mine named James. He is a huge part of my life. So with him, it wasn't hard to have these conversations, but we had them all the time. We would talk about certain things. We would, and him, he's a very tough guy, I guess you can say. He's very, but he is also in tune with his emotions. He just does it a different way than I do. He would react to something, of course, differently than me. But we always say we pretty much the same person. He was born 2 days after me.
Okay.
What's crazy about it? So it's just, he's pretty much just like me, but through life circumstances and how he was brought up, he would handle situations different than me, but we both get each other. So having those type of conversations with him or the other 2 guys really wasn't tough. Now in the beginning, yes, it was, because like I said, in that I would talk about stuff that they didn't understand, that they couldn't get, that they couldn't grasp their mind around. So it was just, um, that began to get uncomfortable, and like that went to just putting it on paper. And if nobody else saw this, nobody else saw this. But um, yeah, that's what pretty much happened. So no, it wasn't hard.
Mm. So like this is the thing. So outside of your like very close-knit friend group of three, um, have like other guys like gone, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I read your book and like, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? You raised some good points. What has kind of been the sort of feedback? I'm asking from the sort of male perspective because like, yeah,
Uh,
it's one of those things where I think when if we were like doing this with the ladies and stuff like this, they'll be like, yeah, you know what? Oh, it's really glad to have, like they'll be a lot more positive. I'm just curious to know what guys have said to you with regards to it.
the guys, they of course their response won't be as long as the female's response, as you just indicated.
Mm,
But the things that um, they would say this particular poem was relatable,
mhm.
or that particular poem was relatable, but they won't dive deep into, because I had one of my close friends, he said he is hard for him to express emotion. And in some of those poems, that express this emotion,
Mhm.
because like it's just hard for I wouldn't even put it all on the males. It's hard for certain people to just express what they're feeling. And
Mhm.
so luckily for me, in those particular poems, I expressed it for them. Like I said what they felt without even having a conversation with them. It's just, it's so that's it for them. So honestly, so far as the male, their response won't be as long because it's just they still in their mind are fearful to say this touched me,
Yeah.
or I relate to this one because of this. Because it's just the male ego and the pride that as men we carry. So they won't have the response that I want, but I know it touched them because it's like I can just feel where the conversation's going. They'll be like, man, that book was good. And they'll leave it at that. I know what that means. Like we don't have to have a long conversation back and forth about it. I know what that meant. One of those, or probably all of those poems, touched you in a way. So that's how that'll go.
Interesting. I like that. I like that a lot. But yeah, I always kind of look at this like think where, okay, if we were having this conversation, or say 20, 30 years ago, emotions, men, blah blah blah. Yeah, and each decade you go back past that, it's like going, it's like going, look, like
Right.
yeah, emotions, no, have a cigarette, drink some bourbon, and shut the fuck up.
Leave it at
Yeah,
leave it at that. Yeah.
yeah. So how, like, would you say with regard like your sort of emotional journey,
Mhm.
how, like, with the help of your therapist, like, how is that going for you? Like, what would you say have been sort of like a couple of the biggest takeaways you've had recently?
Ooh. Um, the biggest takeaway, I would say honestly, because her and I speak every Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing that she actually told me yesterday was the thing that I brought up earlier. It's just really grasping around what's in my control and what's out of it.
Mm-hmm.
She was saying that she always tells me I put too much on myself, that is unnecessary, that I don't really have to carry, because if this particular thing is stressing me out, then why do I have it? It's not meant for me to have if it's stressing me out, making me go crazy.
Mm.
Okay. So just letting go and controlling what I can control and focus on the things that not I only love, but love me back as well. Not chasing something that's like not necessarily say a female in a way, but just like any particular thing that's I'm just trying to fix that doesn't want to be fixed.
Mm.
Leave it alone. She was saying it doesn't. It's not good for you to keep on to this thing because you're here being to me about this particular thing that it really doesn't even matter. Like that thing is what it is. So whatever that is, let it be, because it doesn't want to be changed. Focus on you, because when you're doing the work, you see the growth in yourself. That particular thing is not going to grow. It's going to stay with how it is.
Mm.
That's messing up your growth. So in order for you to continue to grow, you got to leave that particular thing alone. So that's what she is drilling into my head. That's the hardest thing because, like I said earlier, I'm a people's person. So I try to help, and I just try to be a helping hand to anyone that needs it. But what comes with that is whatever that person's going through, you taking on that emotion as well. That ain't even your emotion. You're not even, that's not even, that ain't got nothing to do with you. Whatever they're going through has nothing to do with you. And so now you're focusing on a person that really not necessarily doesn't care about you, but not focused on you. Their life is moving on this way. You're moving on that way. So in order to progress, keep moving that way. Because if you looking back, then you're digressing. You're not progressing.
Yeah.
So that's what she is drilling in my head now.
Mm. No, like there is a thing called the drowning man. Basically, if you go out to save a person who's drowning, a drowning man, like
Mhm.
quite often the person goes out to save them gets drowned in the process because the frailing about and like the sort of just the pure focus and survival of the person who's in trouble takes them down as well. And like,
Right.
yeah, if you've like been holding a lot of stuff in like on your own personal life and like this goes out to so many people and when you're taking on something else which
Mhm.
is not necessarily yours as you were saying that could be the thing what can take you down as well because
Right.
sometimes especially if the person's not like they're like I need help you're like
Mhm.
okay I'll help you and
Right.
every action, every step you see them do is contrary to what they say they need. I need help. Yeah, okay, what do you need help with? I need help like starting a business. Okay, I can do that with you. Okay, day one, wait, what you doing? Well, you know what? Yeah, so it's late in the day. Oh, I've got to sit down and like watch this TV show. Okay. And
Yeah.
plays out like that again and again until when you realize you're like, oh, wait, am I the sucker here? You know?
Yeah. 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 For sure. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So with this, like moving, moving to Atlanta, like picking up a therapist and like basically, yeah, getting your tight knit crew together, like, yes, with your brother from another mother, only like 2 days apart. James, like James, was it? Or
Yeah.
James?
His name is James. Yeah.
Yep, James. And like, yeah. So what made you start a book of poetry? You could have done a number of different things, but a book of poetry. Why a book of poetry?
Great question. So the reason why it was a book of poetry, right? So with him and our relationship, we would listen to different rap artists,
Mm.
and the ones that caught my attention the most is this artist named J. Cole,
Uh,
and his type of style that he writes in. Um, I see him as a poet. I don't see him as a rapper, and so it was different songs that touched. I was like, dang, like I want to write this. I want to write to that, and so it was just honestly just writing to different, I guess, instrumentals.
mm-hmm.
And I would see it as, I wouldn't see it as a rapping style. I would just see it as poetry, like the way it flowed. And what made me do it was because I felt as though my story, right, as I grew as a poet, as I continued to develop my penmanship, I started to share different poems with different people just to see, how they would react to it. Not just really trying to say, this is for you or anything like that. I'm like, what you feel about this? That poem, without me speaking to that person, touched them in a different way. It's like, dang, I went through this. How did you even know? Or that hit me in a different way. And I was like, dang, like, what if I just continue to write? Because I didn't know I was writing a book when I first started poetry. I was just writing. I was just writing to really to just help myself to get all these emotions out because at the time I didn't have a therapist. So I was just writing just to, for me, not knowing that me writing for me is also writing for other people. And so as I, like I said, developed my penmanship, it was just sharing with different people. And I just branched out and shared with more people, shared with more people. That was like, this is really, you know, touching me in a different way. Like this is, I just went through this, or I needed to hear this, or I needed to hear that. And I was like, you know what? Let me just write a book. Let me just put it all into a book and see what happens there. And in that journey, it was hard to write certain topics because I didn't understand the topic at first. I had to go through that particular topic myself in order to write about it. And so in that, it took like 3 years to actually write this book. Like it took a while. It took a long time because I didn't want to just put a poetry book, just put a poetry book together. I could have been done that. I could have wrote about 3 or 4 books by now. But in order for it to click, to make sense and all to flow together, it took that amount of time. So I see, honestly, my poetry book, I see it as an album. I don't see it as like a book. I see it as like a album full of a bunch of different songs
Mm.
that can inspire, hopefully, and just be relatable to you. So that's how that all got started.
Mm. Like a poetry book, which is a 3-year album. Yes, okay. But like from what I grasped from that, it was a case of yes, you may have had the material for the poem, but because you didn't have the, how can I say, the relatable experience at that precise moment in time, you didn't feel putting pen to paper, it would be genuine at
It
the time.
right. It wouldn't be because like I said, it wasn't. It didn't feel right. Like I
Mm.
would sometimes write a poem 2 or 3 times because it doesn't feel right. Um, it's not good enough. I guess I would say it's not good enough. And also just having different conversation with people as well.
Mm.
Just getting information out of them, not only for poetry purposes, but just life. I just want to hear different people's perspective on life, and that also inspired some poems in that book as well.
Ah, I see. Now, one of the things which, like, yeah, you like, you were doing the poetry before, like seeing your therapist. Now,
Mm-hmm.
there is part of me which is like, okay, like, yeah, lots of work coming out. Is that, would you say the conversations with your therapist has become somewhat, she's like, well, your therapist has become a little bit muse-like, helping you get out more material?
No, because what we talk about, I haven't even written about.
Uh-huh.
What we talk about is just like me basically. Okay, I can dive into it a little bit. What she basically, the reason why I went to her, right, is for her to help me get over that my relationship with my mother,
Mm-hmm.
uh, get over my relationship with my father, and also let these certain friends go, or these certain emotions go that's built up inside of me, and learning how to deal with different emotions and not having to be angry. But what she tells me to do though, she tells me to actually embrace that emotion. Don't run away from that emotion because it's never going to get handled. She tells me to embrace the emotion, but also think about why I have that emotion.
Mm.
So as I stated before, like my parents and I, we went through a tough toll with each other, and these different relationships and females and just different people, it made me have trust issues. I went through a great deal of depression with all of these people as well. So it was a toll on me, and sometimes I have different phases where I'll sink into that deep depression. But now she teaches me how to tap out. I don't have to stay in that mind state anymore. I can now tap out and realize, all right, why am I feeling depressed right now? Oh, this particular thing triggered me. This is why. So let's do less of that so I won't feel more of this. So
Mm.
that's what I have her for. To use her for poetry purposes, nah, I don't necessarily do that.
Okay, no worries at all. Like, yes, helping you, oh, helping building a stronger you, let's just
Right.
say. Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So now, 3 years in the making for this book, this album. Now, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so with regards to this, do you have plans to do a next one anytime soon, or is there? It's a case of it's in the wind, Miwa. It's coming together.
I'm currently working on another one. I'm actually working on like, the load is getting crazy. I'm working on like 2 or 3 at one time. Because it's just like I said before, it's certain poems I wrote didn't make the book that I made.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make the cut, I guess. It didn't because it didn't flow. But just because this one didn't flow don't mean it can't go somewhere else. And so right now I'm just really writing a bunch of content. And later on, it'll soon discover like, okay, this is where this is going. So this is where this I need to write more about this
Mm-hmm.
because I have content already in this. So let me write more about this and bam, this is the book. And that's normally how it's going for me. So right now I can say I'm working on 3 different ones. But I also want to I know this is probably gonna be my last book when I do finally write this, I wanted to write a book full of rhymes, like, like a regular novel, just a regular book, but I want it to be nothing but just rhyme schemes in the book the whole way. That's gonna be a challenge, because I'm talking about maybe 200 pages of just rhyming together just like that. So that's gonna be tough. But yeah, soon.
Are you talking about like one continuous rhyme from beginning all the way to?
Yes, that's I've never seen that done before. Never seen that done before. So when I finally come up with the story that I want to write about, because I haven't come up with that yet. The idea came. So later on, it'll reveal itself to what it want to be, and then I'll eventually write that book. But yeah, I want that to be my last one though. I want to go out with that one.
Interesting, very interesting. Because like this is the thing in this 21st century world, like there are sort of many mediums you can get sort of poetry out into the world. Like yeah, by just simply reading it and putting it out on Spotify, like putting it out on YouTube, putting more like maybe a little bit more of a dramatic twist on like, you know what I mean, on the old YouTube or Facebook or whatnot. Are you going to be using other mediums to sort of like, okay, it's the first book album. I'm gonna bounce between the two of those. The first album, yeah. Are you going to be like put out sort of short segments or short, like yeah, poetry videos? How it tries to like ties in with the album again. Hey.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah, I'm working on those as well, just reciting different ones, because I understand that you would some people would like to hear it from me instead of reading it. So yeah, absolutely. I'm developing some of those on TikTok, and I'm really getting a good grasp on social media, because I ran away from that for a while, because it was just I didn't really like social. I didn't like what, I guess social media is a great outlet and it can be very positive, but mine was just negative. I guess it's because of the people that I had on there. All I saw was a bunch of non-authentic people, and just a lot of mess that really wasn't helping me at all. And so I've shadowed away from it, and now I'm starting to get back on it and post more of my content, because honestly, I don't feel as though my book, I didn't give my book the proper respect that it deserves. I didn't. I worked hard on it. So when I first published it, it was just like a whoever gets it gets it. If it's for this person, it's for this person. Well, that's not. It won't reach the right person unless I promote it. It won't get out there unless I put my foot down and be like, hey, this is what this is. This is what this represents. If you want it, hopefully it's relatable to you. And boom, there it is. But I was going about it a totally different way. I was just saying, look, I'm gonna post it, whatever. We'll move on, go to something else. Like I didn't give it the respect, so now I'm doing it.
Would you say that sort of stems from a little bit of imposter syndrome?
Possibly, yeah.
Because like this is the thing, like you've done a lot of hard work on bringing this like book/album together, and like yes, put it out on Amazon, which let's just say a large percentage of the people are like, I've got a book in me, and like yeah, okay, it's easier than ever to publish a book these days. Haven't done that, but you've got all of that out there. To not sort of be promoting it to that next level. And look, I get that. Is it just a case of, hey, am I a poet? Which one?
I won't say that, because I do believe in me as a writer. But what came from that is also, it was scary, because it's like, oh shoot, my emotions is out there to the world now. It's not just to my inner circle. The world will be able to see what it is that I went through. Now the world can judge me, honestly, of what it is I've been through. Because you're gonna have, you gotta take the pros with the cons. Like you're gonna have some people that don't like it. That's what it is. You're gonna have some people that love it. It's a balance of both. And so it was like, dang, like my emotions is out there. Like I'm out there basically. And so that's a very scary thing to know that I was out there like that. So that came with that as well. It's like, I really want to promote this a little more. Like, cause it's like, it's one thing to say that you want to do it, write it all, but it's another thing to be like, all right, boom, it's out there. And once it launched, I was like, oh shoot, like it's out there for real now. So now people are really gonna see, my emotions and things like that. And you got family members don't even know that I was going through the stuff that I was going through. And I'm a married. So now my wife's family as well is gonna see like, dang, LaDarius went through this, LaDarius went through that. That's a hard thing, So it was just a fear of that, really, not just me not believing in myself, because I believe in myself wholeheartedly. That I feel as though I'm a pretty good poet, but it was just that fear of, sheesh, like y'all finna see some real stuff. So that's where it came from.
I hear you. No, like this is the thing. I have to ask because like this is the thing with a lot of people out there, like we always get in our own way when it comes to certain things like this. It's a case of, there is greatness which lives in most people, but most people just don't do the work. And worse still, when they do the work, they are afraid to shine a light on that work, which can be great works, which can really help a lot of people. But that bit of them, which is like, gets in the way. So it's like it's like they build half a bridge to get to the promised land, and that's where it stops. And just too far to jump to the other side. And unfortunately, it's wasted because there are people which are need that information, need that like substance of that gift they bring to the world, but they just don't do it,
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to be that guy to just not help them, because I think about that one person that was going through the same stuff that I'm going through currently right now. They need this content, or they need that one poem. If it's just, I don't even care if it's one poem in that book that they only relate to. If they relate to that one and that one help them get through whatever it is, I'm cool with that. Because I understand, is in the book is different phases in life that I went through. So it's like, you may not relate to every single phase, but it's gonna be something in there that's like, dang, I went through this. If it's just that one poem, it's like, hey, I'm glad that helped you. So yeah, absolutely. Yes. I don't want to be a hindrance in the world.
I hear you. I also think with regards to if they can, like people often have this, and it sometimes works in like quite polar opposites. Like people have what they want and what they need. With regards to what they want, they go, I want this, that, the other, which you often see in social media being portrayed as, riches and all of this and everything like this, all of the fine stuff in life. But what they need never really makes it up on there. It's like, what do you want? I want to be a millionaire. Okay. And what they truly need is like, you know what? Just a bit of a stable life, like basically stable relationship, maybe having a couple kids, maybe like, you know what I mean? Just like going abroad, traveling, seeing the world, getting educated.
Right.
When what they want and what they need come together in like harmony, ooh, watch out for that person, because that's when magnificent things begin to happen,
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's how, it's crazy that you said that, because that's exactly how I felt when it came to just writing this book. It's because like I said, it was certain poems that I just couldn't touch. And I'll give you an example, right?
Okay.
It's a poem in the book. It's called Second Option. And in that's forever gonna probably be my favorite poem, because that one was the hardest for me to write personally, because it's like, all right, well, what is this emotion? What is this? And it was tough because it's like I didn't know what the emotion was. And so in Second Option, basically I talk about just being someone's second option, just trying to go full throttle at this one person, but they don't want the same thing, but they're telling you they want the same thing. So they're dragging you along this journey until they feel as though you're good enough. So that's where second option comes from. So what James, I thank God for James, what he told me to do, because he's a writer as well. What he told me to do was this. He was like, now that you've written second option, write her perspective of what you thought it was. That one was super challenging. Like that took a while because I would ask her, she didn't tell me. I didn't know what her perspective was. So it was like, okay, how do I even start this? And finally it was like, okay, I think the reason why it took so long because my pen wasn't fully developed. And not saying it is now, it was just at a better spot than where it was when I first started second option. And so I had to kind of go through life, meet up with this person again, not to just be with them, but to just kind of see them with the eye of this is just a regular person, then a person I'm trying to be with. And once I did that, it was like, okay, now I can kind of write this. And once I wrote that, that was like, man, it was very fulfilling to me to finally write what I thought her perspective was of me. And so, yeah, so you got second option in the book and you got second option, her perspective in the book. And so those two are my favorites for sure.
Like the challenge of writing from someone else's perspective.
Absolutely. Not easy. It's not easy.
Well, like this is the whole thing. No, it's not. I don't imagine that's going to be easy at all. And especially when you're the subject matter of that second option. Because like, here's the thing. I'm a strong believer of like, yes, self-reflection is everything for like us to develop and grow as individuals. But the problem is with many of the times when you start doing that self-reflection, it's not a pretty picture for the time, because you start to like go, okay, because you like, okay, yeah, why does this keep happening? And because you're the constant in that equation in life, you eventually, like, after you've blamed everyone and you've gone around the whole room and like the whole world and maybe in a galaxy far, far away, you come back to this sort of realization that, yeah, you know what? Maybe it's me. So writing a like poem from her perspective, you must be like, that must have been like a very sort of bright torch on maybe a few aspects of yourself you might have like gone,
yeah, because you realize because obviously you didn't get her, so you realize you're really not who you assume you are. Yeah. It's like, because you think, not just talking about myself, but you think like, okay, I'm pretty confident in myself. I feel like I can get this girl, but she been dragging you on for years. Obviously, you ain't gonna get her. Like, this is not ideal for you. And so, what that hurt to finally realize, like, dang, this is it. Like, this is not gonna happen with this person. So let me just, this person possibly played you for these many years, and you gotta fathom with that. So it's like, all right, once you put, I guess you can say, once you put your pride to the side and really reevaluate the whole situation, that's when you just write something like that. So I guess maybe the reason why I couldn't write it, maybe it was faith that it's still possible. I can still, get this person, but now it was out of the picture. It was done. So yeah.
No, you see, in that type of scenario, like, you know what I mean? All your closest people, like, look, stop what you're doing.
Yeah. And they were gassing me up. They were like, what time you eventually do it? And my mom loved her. That's the thing. Like, everybody loved the person. Like, everybody loved her. So it's like you gotta, I guess, make them happy and yourself, because you feel like this person is like, oh, she gotta be it.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. So that's the reason why those two are my favorite, and probably, well, for now, probably gonna forever be my favorite, because those two went hand in hand with each other, and those two was the hardest I've struggled with. Like, those were a real struggle.
But you've come through on the other side.
Absolutely.
and you're stronger and wiser from it. With, to boot, a poem from it as well. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's crazy that those years, 4 or 5 years of just chasing led to 2 poems. So yeah, that's crazy how that works, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but like, this is the thing. If you didn't go through that, like, you surely it wouldn't have laid the like great foundations for you with your lady now, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think I wouldn't have it any other way now. I wouldn't change a thing because it just, I'm glad it didn't work out with that person. Because I don't feel like I really would have gotten true happiness out of that person. I was basically chasing a fantasy. I was chasing something that, that looked good but wasn't good, like eternally. It looked good on the outside, but wasn't good on the inside. And so with this person that I have now, I thank God for her because she puts stuff in perspective for me as well. And she challenges me in different ways. So it worked out.
I see. I see. I'm I am now curious about, like, okay, when you say she challenges you,
Mhm.
what would you say? What would you say was one of the first challenges where you were, oh, wait a second, hold up, this is to be
Holding me accountable, um, keeping me grounded. When I say holding me accountable, it's just so when we first met, she saw me as this person. Well, I met her when I was going through that great deal of depression. I was going through it. And ironically, I didn't know, she was just a person to me. She worked with my cousin. And so with him, you know, he would tell her certain little different nuggets about me and things like that. And she was just there. Like I would see her at work with him, but I wouldn't I saw her as a beautiful person, but I wasn't focused on that. I was going through stuff. I didn't want nobody at that time. And so once I stopped really looking for love and just focused on me, she really came. That's when she like showed up for me for real. And those challenges with her, it was more so do the work. Like if you want to get out of depression, you gotta get out of depression. It ain't gonna just happen. And so that really that helped me get out of it. That pushed me to finally put my foot down and do the work for myself. And even then, how I knew she was gonna be someone special in my life because she didn't judge me off the phase that I was in. She accepted me in that current moment. She was like, okay, I understand that you're going through this stuff, but look, you got to get yourself out of it. And I needed to hear that. That's exactly what I needed to hear because I was stuck for a minute. I was starting to get comfortable with being unhappy. And that's a real thing because happiness to me was like, it was so temporary. So if I stayed sad, at least this was something that was consistent. I didn't feel as though happiness was a consistent thing. And so that's why in that depression state, I felt as though I wrote my best work in my depression state too. Almost crazy about that. Like it was a lot of sad poems people relate to when I was in the depression mode. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm sad all the time. I don't have to worry about the happiness part. I can stay how I am. And people relating to this work, it's a win-win thing here for me. But she made me realize that's not a win. Like being sad is that's not a thing. So once I finally did the work, I realized that it wasn't. So that was at least one of the challenges she gave me.
Yeah, like you got to remember, man, look, happiness it's not a constant. It always comes and goes. It's like the tide.
Right.
But like going, like just existing in one like state. If someone's like, I'm happy all the time, I'm like, okay, stay away from me, crazy. It's like, if so, like, yeah, being like sad all the time, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, look, like the ebbs and flows make you appreciate life in all its entirety, from happiness to sorrow and back and forth. And it can take you to like some great places. But if you stay in the realm of negativity, It's kind of like chemotherapy. And sometimes it will save your life, but all in all, it's still poison at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
getting away from that, I'm glad she's helped you, you know what I mean? Yeah, like get some perspective. Like, hey, wait a second, what you doing, son? Come on.
Get it together, man. Get it together.
True that. True that. Now, I I have to ask. Now,
Okay.
this is the thing. You're on this journey of poetry. You've got the first album down. I'm just gonna call it an album from now on. It's like, yeah, like you've got album 2, like kind of in the ether. So where would you like this journey to take you in the next few years? What would you like to like? What some of the sites you'd like to see?
I want this second project to basically really make me realize some stuff about myself that I didn't know that was there. I would like it to be since I'm going through the actual therapy part.
Yeah.
I want to honestly, like I said, I'm not using her for that, but I still feel like it's worth talking about. You know, in some of these therapy sessions, it's like, dang, like maybe somebody else need to hear this too. And so in those therapy sessions, I would like to maybe bring a certain awareness as well and continue to talk about mental health. I don't feel like that's a thing that's talked about really. I feel like it's starting to be talked about a little bit, but not quite how it should be. So I would like to dive deeper into that. I would like to also dive deeper into things like it's hard to say because like honestly with the first project, I didn't know that was the lane it was going to go in. It was just everything was happening naturally. So honestly, I'll say this: what I want out of each project that I get, I want it to happen naturally. I don't want to basically say I'm going to write about this and that's it. No, that's not how the first one brought about. The first one came as it was kind of like a guide, like the universe and God was guiding me this way. So I guess I would like to just be guided for all my projects instead of me basically saying, this is important, we talk about this. Well, that might not be the thing that need to be talked about at the moment. Let me talk about this because in this particular emotion, in some of the poems as well in the book, is like some of the emotions, not all the emotions are mine. This is stuff that other people went through as well that I, of course, got their permission to talk about. And so, yeah, in the next book, I would like to talk about those and my emotions. So I just wanted to happen naturally.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. And like when you talk about like, yeah, mental health and everything like this, yes, it's being talked about more and more on a sort of global, like on a global session in, like you could say the developed world and like the sort of importance about, yes, mental health and development and everything like this, especially the couple of years we've gone through as a globe. But like what I often find, and I think that this is one of the trickiest things, is it's always like it's on the sort of it's on trend for a month or so. Like, you know what I mean? It's mental health month, blah, blah, blah.
1 month.
Yeah. And then it goes. And like, yeah, talk about loneliness, talk about like your sadness, like talk about like mental stress. And then it's forgotten when like, yeah, we're like, if you're listening to the podcast and stuff like this, or like you like out and about breathing or like reading a book right now, you're alive like 365 days a year. I don't think your mental health issues, just like, oh, you know what, it's that time of the year, like day 1 of 31 days, let's go, you know?
Exactly. It's not like that.
No.
Like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I feel as though it should be more talked about and more acknowledged. Like just not for that month. Like if you're going through something, it's just gonna go past that mental awareness month. As you were stating, it's gonna be until you finally fix it.
Yeah.
And so I want to just, I guess, challenge people to do the work. Like my therapist is challenging me and my wife, like they're both challenging me, like do the work and not be afraid of the work, because it's definitely better on the other side than where you are and what you can achieve. You never know, because it's just, you really never know what a person is capable of. I just want everyone to be the best version of themselves. So that's what comes with this poetry as well, just to help others be who they really are, their true authentic self, and not be afraid of whatever it is that they're going through, because whatever it is that they're going through, it can be temporarily. That person just has to know that it's temporary. It doesn't have to be their life. It doesn't have to be, on them for that long period of time that it is. You can fix it. You just have to do it. And so that's where all of these books is probably going to come from.
And with regards to this, like with the mental health, do you think is it going to be for the gentleman out there, or is it going to be for one and all?
One and all. And I'm not just writing for men, I'm writing for everyone. Because like I said, even if I was to say this is only for the men, you're going to have women still relate to it. So, it's, and in the book, I don't say he or she.
Okay.
I don't say that. I don't say that at all, because, you don't know what gender really is going to relate to whatever this is. I feel like if you put he or she in it, that kind of takes away a little bit. They can still relate, but they relate more if they know it's like for whoever, instead of just, just for him, just for her. No, it's just, I say you, or I'll say me, as in, myself. But in some of those poems, I'll say you were stuck with this, or you were this, or you were that. So now I'm talking directly to the person.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Now, final question.
Okay.
Ask. What has been one of the things which has brought you gratitude for 2022?
The thing that brought me gratitude. That's a great question. For me, okay, I got it. So the thing that brought me the most gratitude so far is that my happiness is in my control. That's what really brought, I'm just really now learning that and really understanding that this year. You will hear different quotes, you will hear different poems, you hear different people say those type of things. But this year, everything, honestly, it's crazy. Everything is just starting to click. Everything is really just starting to really, really make sense to me. Like, you will go by this quote for all these years, but you don't really know until like for instance, like your parent, when you were a kid, can say something to you, you don't understand it until you get older. That's where it feels like, that's what the happiness thing feels like for me now. It's like, oh dang, I really can be, consistently happy. I don't have to let what my family put me through define me. I don't have to let what these emotions that I dealt with far as these different women define me. I don't have to let that, like, and then that's in the past. I'm focused on the present and get prepared for the future. So I'm no longer dwelling in the past. So really just defeating my past, just letting my past be where it's at and focusing on right now. That's my biggest, yeah, for sure, that. Absolutely.
Perfect. I've got to say thank you for coming on today, sir. You have been charming. You have been great. And yes, I've learned more about your book / album and a little bit more about yourself. Now, can you tell the lovely people how they can find you out on these interwebs?
All right. So finding me, you can definitely look me up on TikTok. Like, I'm really trying to grow that. And I feel like TikTok is really honestly, TikTok is my favorite social media platform right now, is because you have a lot of positivity on there as well. So TikTok, my poetry name is Zoe.J. That's what I go by as far as the poetry aspect, and my author's name. So on TikTok is zo.j96. That's where you can find me at on TikTok. So yeah, that's where I'm also posting new content, like that's not even in the book. I'm definitely promoting the book on there, but I'm also writing other stuff for you guys as well. It's not just, I don't want it to just be about the book, about the book, about the book. No, I'm a poet, so I'm gonna put my work on there as well, like stuff I just write. I'll be up in the middle of the night, I just think of something and I put it to the paper, or I type it in my phone and I screenshot and put it on there like that. And so that's where you can find me. That's where you can find me at. Far as the book, the name of the book is The Addled Soul. You can find that on Amazon. You can find it on Kindle, Apple Books. You can find it there. You can find it on the Barnes and Noble website. It's on there. It's pretty much everywhere. But far as if you want a physical copy, you gotta go to Amazon for that. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. I'll put this all in the show notes, in the description. So yes, get the book, get connected, and yeah, let's see where it takes you in this life. Once more, sir, I say thank you for coming on today. You have been a superstar, a legend, a poet. There you go.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No worries. And I got to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, for sticking with us to the end of the show. Please stay safe, stay well, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic. Be all the positive bees you can be in this world and then some. Have a great day, guys. Yes. Peace. And we are